And now it's time for a preview of an upcoming game by Tom Vasel.
This is the Dice Tower. I love dice, I love rolling dice, and I like fighting in dungeons. So here we have a game called Dungeon Dice, go figure, in which players are going to be using dice, pulling dice from a bag, and you're basically going through a dungeon, fighting monsters, and trying to get treasure. You will be doing that by rolling dice. You'll start with a few dice, but as the game progresses, hopefully you get more and more dice so that you can fight and kill the bigger monsters. Let me show you. This game revolves around dice, and each player starts with a level tracker die here. This shows you how many dice you get to roll in combat. Each of these hero dice is numbered from 1 to 4 on a 6-sided die, and this shows you how many dice you'll roll. As you kill monsters, your levels will increase, and so if you get all the way up to level 6, you get to roll 3 of these dice. When you are wounded, one of these dice will be taken away, and so one of the things a player can do on their turn is simply cure their wounds. Now, a player is going to start with one of these dice, and they're also going to start with 2 random equipment dice. Now, equipment here, for example, we have a whip and we have a sword, and these are dice that a player is also going to get to roll if they have equipment. Equipment will add numbers to your roll, your attack roll, essentially, but they will also add special abilities if the symbol is rolled. See, for example, this is just a regular 2, but here, and this is a 1, but here we have a 2 with a sword, which gives us a special ability that a player can use. For example, the sword itself lets you re-roll one of your combat dice. Before I go any farther, let me remind you that all the components you see here are prototype form, and so it's possible that you will use that some of these will change. You'll have to keep track of the Kickstarter to see exactly what the things are. I'm just here to show you kind of what gameplay looks like. This is the monster bag, which has lots of dice in it that are full of monsters. Now you'll notice that there's symbols for monsters on these dice, and there's also a number in each of those dice. So when you fight a monster, that monster is going to roll. For example, let's say you fight this level 3 bat creature here. That means you're going to roll 3 monster dice. Monster dice are simply 6-sided dice. However, when you roll a 6, there's a chance that you will get an extra item when you fight that monster. So the simple way that the combat works here is you will draw a die from the bag and you will roll it. Now, if you're lucky to roll whatever item is shown on the bag, and we have all different items that you can find, chests and locked chests and one-time use potions. When you find a one-time use potion, you'll pull from a red bag and you'll get something that you can use one time. These are dice that you can add. They might give you special abilities in combat. They might let you open up a chest with a key, something, but they're only able to be used once. And if you roll a 6 when you're fighting a monster, you'll also get one of those. Then a chest will give you some equipment. And we have a big blue bag that's full of equipment. So in this blue bag, you start with 2 of these, but it's possible to get more equipment. You can't use all your equipment at once. Some equipment is weapons and such, and you can have 2 one-handed weapons or 1 two-handed weapon and 1 piece of armor, and then maybe something like the key. And then if you have a locked chest, you can, if you have a key, you can try to roll it to open a locked chest, in which case you'll draw one of the more, these are just like items, but these are artifacts and they're much more powerful. And so very useful things that can heal you and such. So if you roll that, you get lucky when you fight the monster, but 5 times out of 6 you won't, and instead you'll have to fight a very powerful monster. You can ask one and only one player to help you. That player will allow you to use their level dice and equipment, and they're basically helping you fight the battle. However, you have to make a deal with them as to how you will split the loot afterwards. And by splitting the loot, since there's only one thing, when you fight a monster, the thing that you're fighting for is the whatever is on the die, whatever item. For example, here's a piece of equipment, and so you can say, if you help me, at the end we'll roll a monster die, and on a 1 to 3 I get it, on a 4 to 6 you'll get it, and that person says, you really need me, so I'm going to get it on a 1 to 4 and you get it on a 5 to 6. So you can make any kind of deals you want, but the deals are binding. You can also trade dice with other people and use their one-time abilities and such, but then you'll roll the dice. So this, for example, this person here would roll 3 monster dice. So let's roll 3 monster dice for this monster here. And they rolled a 6 and 2 4s. And since they rolled a 6, that means there is a one-time die that will be going to the person if you beat this guy here. So then the good guys roll. Since I managed to get somebody to help me, I have 2 green dice, plus I have my whip and my sword. So I roll these and I get 3, 4, 5. It's pretty pathetic. I lost, so I lose a hit point and the battle's over. And the dice go back into respective bags. If you beat the guy, you'll get to go up a level. You also get the equipment that's shown on the die of the monster that you beat. And some monsters are harder than others. There are black, there are green, blue, red, black, and yellow monsters. And specific monsters, if you beat them, are worth extra points at the end. For example, green monsters aren't worth anything, but if you defeat a gold monster, and gold monsters are the hardest because they're usually 5 levels or higher. They're dragons. Here's one here. You keep that, and that's worth fame points. And so some of them are worth more fame points than others. Players are going to keep taking turns going around a table, and whoever has the most fame points at the end is the winner. The game is about players going into a dungeon and fighting and getting things, but I mean, there's that interaction between players. Well, you didn't help me before, so I'm not helping you now. Or if you're going to want me to help, then I get the treasure in a 1 to 5. Arguing, well, I'm not going to give you a treasure in a 1 to 5. Well, honestly, you should, because you're going to get a point for killing that monster. And so there's some back and forth there. But there's some one-shot dice where you can curse another player, use them up, and basically add points to the monster when fighting someone else. There's also all kinds of cool dice. There's ones that add little spell dice that you can then roll in battle. If you roll a fireball, you get to roll the fireball dice. The monsters have different special abilities when you fight them. Some of them will make you re-roll. And that's one thing about the game. The game is really simple to play. It's very easy to do. At first you'll be looking at the symbols, but they make sense for the most part. Like if you roll a symbol with fire, then you simply add the fireball die. If you're fighting a zombie, they might drain life from you. If you have an axe, you can execute any small level creature. They just automatically kill them. And so there's some really neat different symbols here, but even if you have the most powerful stuff in the world, you still might not roll the side that you're looking for. So this game has the multicolored bags, has the awesome dice in the yellow bag, and the one shots, which are pretty cool, but it can only be used one time in the other bag, and then the regular equipment die. And so you're building up your equipment as you fight, and you're never really sure what monster you're going to pull. You might pull a weak monster. They're easy to kill, but the rewards for killing them aren't that fantastic. And then you got to work with the other players. All in all, though, it's not a very long game. It's not a difficult game to explain. You're just grabbing dice and rolling them. And as the Kickstarter campaign continues, I see that he's constantly adding more and more dice to the campaign, so the range of things that can happen will be immense. So that'd be interesting to see. In just a moment, I'm going to show you a link to the Kickstarter project itself. If you're interested, you can go there and support this Dungeon Dice.
Thanks for watching our review today. For more information about board games, as well as the #1 board game audio podcast, check out Dicetower.com for reviews, interviews, and more. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower.